Hello there, my name is Malevasada and welcome to my channel. In today's video, let's take a look at the out-of-the-box content approval Power Automate Cloud Flow. Now when we are in the SharePoint communication site, that's mostly used by the departments, business units, or even as an intranet accessible by a large number of users. When any content, whether it's an article or news, is submitted, it immediately becomes visible to all users who has read access on the site if the content approval flow is not turned on. In certain scenarios, especially in the intranet, the content first needs to be reviewed and then approved in order for those content to be visible to all users with the read access. This can simply be achieved via out-of-the-box cloud approval flow on the site pages document library of the respective site. So let's see how do we configure that, and let's see that in action. Okay, we are into one of the communication site called IT department site. Let's head over on the site contents and on the site pages where we will configure the page approval cloud flow. Let's go to site pages. Let's go to library settings. Let's go to more library settings just to first show you what are the settings which we will enable to make this happen. We need to go to versioning settings. Let us first turn on the content approval, and this is the place where it says when a new item or changes to an existing item should remain in draft state until it has been approved. So it's important that we check this. Keep the major and minor version as selected. Version time limit, you can keep it as no time limit. If you want, you can reduce this number to 100, keep the following number of major versions, and you can also go ahead and keep draft for the following number of versions and just mention it as 50. And this is also an important aspect where only users who can approve the item and the author of the item. So until and unless the page is really approved, only the user who submitted the page and an approver can really see the item. The other two settings are any user who can read items, which is not recommended because other users would be able to see that. Only users who can edit the items, again not recommended. The last option where submitter and the approver can view the item is something which we should select. And we don't want user to really check out the file. Let's just keep it selected as no and click on OK. So that's the setting that we would like first to set on these site pages. Let us also take a look at the permissions for this document library. Here you can see we have a site members, owners and visitors having contribute, full control and read access respectively, and the library also inherits the permission from the parent. Okay, now we are on the site pages document library of the site. You can see the automate option. Within that we have Power Automate, and you can see configure page approval flow. So click on that. Click on create flow. This is going to configure the page approval workflow. So you can see add a page approval flow to require approval before publishing new and updated pages in this library. Once approved, the new and updated pages will be published. So click on create flow. Let's wait for that to load. Now it will make sure that the flow uses the following apps. A green check means you're good to go and we are all set to proceed. So the flow essentially uses all these connections. Submit the SharePoint page for an approval, and let's just call it as the IT department site page approval cloud flow. Okay, and here we need to define approvers. Now you can see add one or more people. You can go ahead and add one or more people here who will be approving the content. So for now, I'm just going to add my name here. Okay, click on create. Now this has configured the page approval workflow. Let's see where this workflow gets actually provisioned. If you go over on the Microsoft Power Automate, make.powerautomate.com, and when we log in into the default environment, it is important to remember that whenever you configure the page approval workflow, it always gets provisioned in the default environment, and you can go and select my flows. Let me go ahead and refresh that. Now you will see 2 minutes ago the IT department site page approval cloud flow. Now what this flow essentially does is it runs on the selected item, okay, and then it has a scope when it gets the file property, file metadata, sets the content approval status to pending, and then it will start the approval process. As you can see, the approvers that we have defined is assigned here. If you would like to make any changes to the approvers, what you can do is you can go ahead and make a changes to this assigned to property. You can add more people here. If you want to make any changes into the item link description, you can even do that here. And after that, depending on the outcome, it will set the approval status to approved and rejected, and then it will also send different notifications. If it's approved, it will also check whether we have really scheduled the publish. If the publish is really scheduled, then it will delay that until the time is reached, and when that time is progressed, has reached, then it will again check if the file is then published, and if then it is published, it will go ahead and send the notification to a submitter that your page is now published. And if it is not scheduled, then it will directly send the notification that the page is published. And of course, if it is rejected, then it will set the content approval status to rejected and will send the notification to the submitter that your page has been rejected and hence it is not published. Okay, that's just a summary of the flow. Let's go back. Now let's also take a look at the permission of a user. Let's go to the site members, and Edelwens is a part of the site members. So Edelwens should be able to submit the content. Okay. Also important is just make sure that the user who would be the approvers should be added into the site owner's SharePoint group. Okay. The user who are in the approver list can also have a design permission. As you can see, the design permission enables user to even approve the item. Now let's flip back as Edelwens. Now I'm logged in as Edel, another user. Let me go ahead and create a page. I'll go and select a blank page, create a page. Sample page for submission. I'm just going to put some sample for approval, and you can see it has changed the page title, which is matching with this title. Okay, let's go ahead and click on submit for approval. When we click on submit for approval, it will show a panel from the right which will first time ask Edel to approve all the connections that are being used in the flow. Let's wait for that to load. You can see this flow uses the following apps. A green check means you're good to go. Now this experience is only one time for a user. So what that means is Edel just needs to configure this once. After that, Edel will never be asked this as long as we have a same flow enabled on the site pages. So firstly, let's go and sign in. It's creating the connections, create on the approvals, and create the notifications. Now we have all three green ticks. We are good to go. Click on continue and just add a message, please approve, and hit on submit. This will initiate the approval process. You can see the status is changed to submitted, and you can see the submit for approval is gone now, and it's showing now it's pending approval. Let's flip back as the approver and see what are we getting. Now when we are logged in as an approver, you can see that I have got the adaptive card. Edelwens sent you a request that would be available in the activity feed, and you can see a sample page for submission requires an approval. Here's the page link, who has requested, and it is waiting for a response. If you have a multiple approvers configured, you will see their names here. You can put a comment and you can do the approval or a rejection. You can also do a reassignment. If you want somebody else to take care of this approval, you can do that. Before that, let me also show you what's the status of the page right now. You can see the status of the page is pending. Microsoft Teams is one place from where you can approve the item. Let me show you also the other place. When you are in the make.powerautomate.com, in the default environment, you can click on approvals, and you will see that the request has come in from Edel. You can click on this to see some more details, and you get an option to approve, reject or reassign, put a comment and confirm. You can do the approvals here as well, approve or reject. Also, when you click on a page itself for a review, and when you log in as the approver, you will see review approvals. You can click on the review approvals. You can see that the request has received from Adele. So you can do the approval, rejection or reassignment from here, and you can even email the requester if you need some more information. You can also provide an approval or rejection on this content submission from the Outlook as well. You can see we have got an email from the Microsoft Flow, and you can see sample page for submission requires a content approval for publishing. So you can see the message that has been sent, direct link to view the page. You can provide the approval or you can provide the rejection, add the comments and submit. Okay, so let's just go ahead and approve it from the Outlook. Approving the page and click on submit. So the action completed successfully, and you can see we also have got the Teams notification that the final status is approved. You can also see that Adele has also received an email that your sample page was approved and published. And you can also see in the activity feed of Adele that the page has also been approved. So when we head over to site pages and now check the status, the approval status is now approved. And what that means is now this page is visible to all the users who has the read or view access on the site. Let us also see that we would have one run of the flow, which is successfully completed 6 minutes ago. You can also see the flow history. Now at the time of recording, this out of the box flow cannot be loaded into the new view, the modern view of the Power Automate. But you can really see it has executed all the actions. It has gone into the conditions. It has set the approved status to approved, and all the other actions are successfully executed. So I hope this simple example helped you to understand how can you really configure the out-of-the-box page content approval Power Automate flow and enable the review process in between, so that when any user submits the content, it first gets reviewed, approved, and then only becomes available, visible to all users. Thank you so much for watching the video.